Are you looking to buy a Volkswagen ID3? Well, if you are, you may want to watch this video till the very end, because in this video, I'm going to go through all the things that are good, that are bad, that are ugly, and that are awesome with the ID3. Oh guys, before we kick off the video, I just want to promote my brand new Norwegian YouTube channel called Kris, Rifa på Norsk that I have made to complement this channel. So don't worry guys, this is still the main channel. I'll still be featuring the normal videos and all the cars first on this channel, but I wanted to make a Norwegian specific channel for all of my Norwegian viewers, and about 15% of all of my viewers are actually Norwegian. I wanted to make videos more specific and more centric towards Norwegian viewers, because a lot of the videos I want to make, well, don't actually fit and don't make sense on this channel. So that's why I have made a secondary Norwegian channel for all of my Norwegian viewers. So if you guys want more Norwegian videos, I already have a video uploaded on that channel. So if you want Norwegian videos on my Norwegian channel, please go ahead and click the link down below to that channel and subscribe to that channel. Thank you very much. And guys, let's try to get that channel to 1,000 subscribers as quickly as possible, because that really shows me that you guys want the Norwegian channel and the Norwegian videos. So thank you very much. Well, not exactly. Actually, the ID3 is underpinned by the MEB platform, a brand new pure electric platform from the Volkswagen Group, which will underpin, of course, this car, the ID4, the ID5, the ID6, and all the other Volkswagen Group EVs, such as the Audi Q4 e-tron and a whole bunch of Cupra and Seat and Skoda vehicles. So, I mean, it kind of looks like a Golf. It is kind of similarly sized, but underneath it is very, very different. And that is very good, because Volkswagen Group need a dedicated EV platform to be able to compete, you know, with every other EV offering that's coming out from competing manufacturers in the next few years. And I actually think this ID3 looks very good. It's very handsome, you know, typical Volkswagen, restrained, simple, and you know, it has nice proportions. The front end actually is my least favorite, because I think it is kind of boring, especially in this black color. But in white, it looks much, much better. As I said, this black isn't my favorite color. But move around to the back end, I think this is a very good looking car. This being a new platform, not everything is cherry. So let's talk about the interior. Okay, first off, it feels very spacious. It is very spacious and roomy in here. The cabin is wide, it's tall, it feels roomy and airy. And then you have the huge windscreen and these quarter windows and the huge side windows, which let in a lot of light. You have the dashboard, which is pulled away from you. I mean, and it feels much bigger in here than the exterior dimensions would suggest. And then you have the steering wheel, which is of high quality, nice leathers. It feels very solid. It looks expensive. It looks like it's pulled out of a much more expensive luxury car. You have the stalks, which are of high quality, sound nice, feel nice, and also the gear selector here. And that is a very nice and satisfying sound. But except for that, the interior looks and feels so cheap. You have these scratchy plastics on the doors, on the dashboard, and in the lower cabin. Also here on the A-pillar. It is really strange, because Volkswagen is known for high quality interiors with nice materials. I mean, everything is put together very well. It feels very solid. I mean, the fit and finish is impeccable. The precision in here is like every other Volkswagen. It's just that there are so much cheap materials in here. And You know, I've heard arguments that, well, it's made out of recycled plastics and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, the ID4 doesn't have this issue. The Skoda Enyaq doesn't have this issue. And I don't know, the BMW i3, which is basically a recycled, you know, trash bin on the interior, feels so much nicer. So this is, I mean, all marketing jargon aside, this is just cost-cutting issues. This is just to, I mean, to put the price down as much as possible, and also to have for Volkswagen to have as large as a profit margin as possible. They have done some market research here to show that, well, we can go cheap on the interior and still sell these. So, I mean, that is my only complaint about, you know, the interior in general. And look, I mean, there's so many marks here on the door, on the dashboard there, and also on the passenger door. And I haven't even had a passenger sat here. This car had covered 3,500 kilometers when I got it, so it's basically new, but it's already looking quite bad here on the inside. So that is absolutely something to consider. But positive is the digital gauge cluster for the driver here on top of the steering wheel column, which is super nice, very high quality, super deep blacks, you know, vibrant colors and contrast and resolution. And, well, you have a digital driver's display, which is welcome. It shows, you know, the basic information, very simple. I am a huge fan of that. And then you have the central screen here, not the biggest, but at 10 inches, it is big enough. You don't need a huge tablet glued to the dashboard for it to be nice. I mean, some cars, you know, do it a bit overboard, but I do like this. But I mean, these two screens are some of the prettiest and nicest screens I have seen in a long time. But the UI, the software here is kind of an issue. It's counterintuitive, it's cumbersome and illogical to use. I am not a huge fan. I've been using it for a week and I don't get along with it. So, you know, doing some simple functions like finding your state of charge. Okay, 1, 2, 3 button presses for something as simple, and you want to go back, yeah, and it's super laggy. I mean, it is software, so they can improve upon it, but what they can't improve upon, are the capacitive touch buttons for primary functions like, you know, volume and also cabin temperature, which, I mean, that's just dumb in my opinion. And what's wrong with the knob for volume? I really hate that this interior doesn't have a volume knob and no physical buttons. It's just, it takes a second every time you're going to adjust the volume because it's unlike any other car. So I'm not a huge fan of that. And then sometimes when you're hitting the plus here on the HVAC, it registers as, you know, you turning down the temperature, and sometimes when you're turning down the temperature, you're too close to this on and off switch here, so you mute the sound. So obviously it's not the best solution, but even worse is that the temperature controls up top here, nor the volume controls are illuminated. What's up with that? Where the ID3 wins back quite a few points, you know, points it loses in the, well, interior and infotainment department is in the actual driving experience. So first off, it is super comfortable, very comfortable. The suspension tuning is towards, you know, the softer side, this having 18-inch wheels to 1555 18s. It does have, you know, a bit of sidewall and also quite, you know, narrow-ish tires. This isn't a performance vehicle. This being the 58 kilowatt-hour version has a 204 horsepower electric motor on the rear axle. So that is quite cool. This is rear-wheel drive and you can feel it pushing through the corners like this roundabout here. When we come around, you know, you go on the throttle, and also steering, I mean, is uncorrupted. It's not the best feeling steering. Okay, on throttle here, and it will actually rotate. It will actually rotate, though you can't defeat the traction control system or the ESP. Hopefully they will bring out a GTI version and maybe an R version of the ID3 in the future, because the potential in dynamics with this platform is kind of awesome, kind of huge. But yeah, driving, it is comfortable. I mean, there is a sophistication to the suspension tuning that, you know, you only get in German cars. So I would put it not as comfortably sprung as the Mach-E, but quite close, and that is a very comfortable car. But the suspension is more controlled, so it's a bit stiffer, it's a bit more Germanic feeling in the suspension tuning. So I mean, you can't fault it at all. And then you have the interior cabin noise, which is very impressive. Again, not like a Mach-E, that is a much more expensive vehicle, but much better than something like a Tesla Model 3. I mean, going here like 80 kilometers an hour. So on a country road or on the motorway, this is a very quiet car to travel in. It is very impressive. So just to sum, the comfort better than a Tesla Model 3, about the same as a Ford Mach-E, but cabin noise is much better than something like a Tesla Model 3, better than a Kia e-Soul, and I would put it at the level of a Peugeot E2008, which is a very quiet vehicle, but better than the way it drives is the size of it. So here, you know, towards some twisty roads here, of course, it is quite dynamic for being a Volkswagen, though you can't defeat the traction control. But the size, this is shorter than 4.3 meters. It's 1.8 meters wide, or just a tad bit, 1805 millimeters. But what that does is that this is perfectly sized for European cities. I mean, in the city, it feels compact because it is compact, but still very big on the interior. And then you have the turning circle, which is super impressive. So this here, I would usually probably need a 3-point turn. Oh yeah, this is insane. This is insane. So the turning radius, the turning circle is crazy. So I mean, this is the perfect car for a European city. It's the right size, and it's just awesome to drive. I mean, the basics of being a car, this thing does exceptionally well. I have only driven this, the 58 kilowatt hour pack version, the version they call also the Pro, so I can't, you know, speak about the City, the 45 kilowatt hour version, and the Pro S, the 77 kilowatt hour version. I'll have to test those two cars in the future to, well, give my opinion on range, because I haven't done, you know, my standardized testing. But in my range efficiency and charging test, which was done around 10 degrees Celsius, which is a motorway run, 110 kilometers an hour, also to an elevation about 150 meters, and then back again. So it's a bit more strenuous than just your normal motorway driving. This car managed a theoretical range of 270 some odd kilometers, which is, it's okay. It's not amazing, but it is okay, and it is, of course, quite a bit off the WLTP range, because WLTP is done at about 37 kilometers an hour, a 28 kilometer route. My test was 110 kilometers, and as I said, with the elevation, and also at, yeah, 260 kilometers of range, so a bit different than the WLTP's range. But I mean, it puts it about where you would expect it with its WLTP range, so it isn't bad. But what is interesting is that in my Norwegian high-speed run, which is my 615 kilometer test, where you are battling the clock, where, you know, you really are doing the real-world travel time of an EV on a long trip, because you're including not only the range, but also the efficiency of the car, and also how quickly it can charge. This car completed that test. Link in the description box down below to that video. I don't want to reveal the actual time, but it's not too far off the time of a Tesla Model 3 long range, the 2021 model with a heat pump. It is completely livable. It's not as good as that car, but again, it's not the price of that car either, and it is much more comfortable and quiet on the motorway. So, I mean, depending on how you look at range, what you need, this is perfectly livable for most people. And I think this version, because it is a 5-seater and the price it is, makes much more sense than the 77 kilowatt hour version, which is only a 4-seater and is quite a bit more expensive. And then you have the charging. According to my test, this charges from 10 to 80% stated charge in about 34 minutes, which is, it's good. I'm hoping the manufacturers will get that time down to 30 minutes, but it's good. It charges quite fast for its peak speed being 100 kilowatts. We had an average charging speed about 71 kilowatts, and it hits that peak speed immediately. No need for artificial driving or yo-yoing or heating of the battery. It just hits its speed, under normal driving conditions, which is very impressive. The ID3 has some major flaws, like the interior quality. What's up with that? The infotainment system, Volkswagen, you have to fix that because it's almost unusable. Thankfully, you can use, Apple CarPlay, which is wireless. But I mean, the rest of this car, the way it drives, the practicality, the range, okay performance, how quiet it is, how comfortable it is, and especially the price point makes this a car that is hard not to recommend, because the competitors are more expensive. You can get the 58 kilowatt hour version with 420 kilometers of WLTP range for 317,000 kroners. Even though that is the base spec, you can, opt for the business, which is 350,000 kroners. And it's still cheaper than the base e-Soul. And I think I do prefer this car. But I mean, there's no other car on the market today that offers more range for the price than the ID3. At least here in Norway. It may be different in your country, but I mean, yeah. I wanted to hate it because of the flawed interior, and the infotainment system at times frustrates me, but getting into it, it just feels like a Golf. It feels like a Golf, it drives like a Golf, and I love the Golf. I just wish it was a bit nicer on the inside. I wish it was just a bit prettier up front. But it's hard to argue the price. This is a car I absolutely can recommend. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always guys, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.